Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. I got a mouthful of gum right now. I like that 5 gum. It's awesome. Fully endorsed by Dark Logos. Today's show is going to be a little bit more simpler show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you prep for this new year, making this a better 2017 than your 2016. Unless you were doing crazy stuff in 2016, then yeah, it was your year, man. 2016, the year of crazy stuff. Cubs won the World Series. Enough said. Hell, Chiefs are about to enter the playoffs. Yeah, that's that right there. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you some pointers right now that's going to help you move forward, become a better player, have a better overall understanding of how people play the game and how you yourself are playing the game. All right, let's just get straight into it. All right, so first off, I'm going to tell you, go to a WizKids Open. Now, some of you might say, well, Dark Logos, wouldn't you tell me to go to a rock or something like that? No. Go to a WizKids Open. Definitely if you're on the beginner level, okay? And the main reason I want you to go to a WizKids Open is I want you to see the upper levels of homebrew. The upper levels of homebrew. And I also want you to see where casual casual homebrew meets upper level homebrew meets meta players. Okay, and that's important for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is this: you get to see how people play when they say, like, I get to play the best thing I can possibly play. Okay, and when you understand that, then certain transformations start taking place. Okay. The next thing that comes into mind is when you start saying, like, let me play the best thing that could come into play, is how efficient is that? Okay, because a lot of times people, for lack of a better word, they're just like, let me hit you over the head with a rock as best as I can, as fast as I can, and then that means that it's a great team. When in reality, that's not the case. It just might be an adequate team. Okay. So you get to see some cool stuff. You might see people running around with Shazam, KC Shazam. You might see somebody decide like, hey, I want to play Superman and Mxyzptlk together. And they might go 2-1 or something like that. Okay. So there's veritable things that you will see at a WizKids Open. But the big thing is that if you go to a WizKids Open, definitely earlier in the year, you have access to Con LEs so that you're not paying out the butt for Con LEs. Okay, so it's easier to get, it's accessible, it's fun stuff, good for you. Okay, so that's your big thing. You're going to get Con LEs, you're going to go against better players-ish, and you're going to understand where that separation between homebrew play and meta play starts to take place. Okay, so that's my number one advice. Go to a WizKids Open. Okay. My second piece of advice this upcoming year is buy what you're going to play. Don't buy more than that. I know seals get you and all sorts of other events get you, and you're just stuck with tons and tons of product because your local venue does nothing but, sealeds and whatever else. Just buy what you're going to play. I got a bag full of clicks. Literally a bag full of clicks. Not bad clicks. Good clicks that I'm not going to play. Actually, I think I have several bags worth of clicks. Like, just all over the place here. And I'm going to do a giveaway eventually, but I need to recoup some funds because dating ain't easy. Like, it sucks your money, man. Anyway, so going back to what I was saying before I interrupted myself, I think just overall, if you just buy what you're going to actually use, and what I mean use is like in the next 2 months use. So let's just say you have a venue, and your venue primarily plays, you know, two seals in a 3-month period, and you know you're going to be out of town one of those days, and then that you all play, and then you know, on another day you might just, you know, you just plot for, you know, plan, saying like, hey, I might be sick or something. Okay, boom. You know, with the days that you have left, are you able to play everything that you want to play from a new set? And if the answer is no, I couldn't, then probably what you need to buy is a lot less than what you think you need to buy. Okay? And someone might say, but Dark Logos, what happens when that game comes a couple of months down the road and I need that one figure that if I had bought it then, I would have been fine? Well, truth be told, the way the market goes, if you had bought that tip figure later on when you needed it, you would save an exponential amount of money. Just being honest. Okay? So, right there, just start watching what you're buying. And I know a lot of brick and mortar places would say, like, shh, you know, we need these people to buy so we can stay afloat. I understand that. And there's other ways to stay afloat and promote the game. But I really do feel that just buying and buying and buying and buying and buying will be the worst thing possible this year. And I think WizKids is starting to repeat some of the weaknesses and the bad planning practices that they had from the past, mainly 5 years ago during 10th anniversary. They're going to flood the market full of so much product that we won't know which way is up until somewhere around November. And then by that time, we're like, oh, that happened. And we're all like, you know what? I'm taking a break from heroclix. And then the game suffers because there's a lot less players because they got burnt out due to all the product that was put out. So, yeah, I've lived through this before. So I can tell you, you will survive the heroclix apocalypse. But at the other end, just understand there will be a culling, and the non-faithful shall be trampled underfoot. Yep, that's pretty much what's going to happen. So that leads into the next thing. Pick your battles this year. Like, really pick your battles when it comes to events. All right, and let me explain to you mainly why WizKids is dumb and how they've shot themselves in the foot. Okay. Once WizKids decided that they were going to enter into competitive play and make that an integral part of their platform, in the sense of that they were going to do several tournaments outside of the World's Championships and Nationals, that's when they needed to know ahead of time with their schedule what their yearly schedule is going to be and release that up front and then have that in stone. Okay? They at least need to know what their dates were going to be for those events, so that no matter what, if you had to ever do a venue change or whatever, you know that during these weekends, during these days, these are the tournaments, this is, you know, and then we're going to announce, you know, where they're at. For nationals in particular, you should know that. You should know that for every one of your countries, okay? The problem comes in is when Rock is proving that you can have a competitive environment. WizKids didn't have to set up a hyper-competitive environment. They could have just kept on with Nationals and Origins with the World Championships. Okay? But by also sort of saying, no, we want some of that sweet Rock money, all they did was dilute the pool. And they've been diluting it hard. There's less pie to go around even for WizKids. Okay? So what does this mean? Me, for myself as a competitive player, now has to pick and decide on the following things. Am I going to Nationals? Am I going to Worlds? Am I going to Rocktober? And how far am I going to travel to go to a Rock? And how far am I going to travel to go to a WizKids Open? Okay? Like all of those things together factor into your wallet. So let's just say this. You decide that you're going to go to a WizKids Open You get your national qualification, you're going to nationals, and then you do well there and you're going to worlds. For your average player with wife and kids, if you told your significant other, hey honey, I'm going to go to this tournament, I'm going to be gone, all day that weekend. Then the next, a couple, months later, hey honey, I'm going to be gone for, 2 days, okay, cool. Boom. And then it's like, hey honey, I know we weren't really planning it, but I qualified for the world championship. I'm going to worlds. That's a week. It's a week. You can boil it down to 5 days or even 4 days if you cut it close, but you're gone most of a week. You just are. So, I mean, even if you said like, hey, I got the qualification to get into the singles finals, and you're just there for singles finals, you're still gone 2 to 3 days. And you're still paying a good amount for a hotel, because in the Columbus, Ohio area, the hotels skyrocket. Like, oh, okay, I was about to have a bad joke there. But yeah, the hotel rates skyrocket horribly. Okay, so what you're stuck with is a inflated housing market, a highly inflated housing market. And you're going to have to drive, if you're going to get something that's reasonable, you're at least 25 minutes outside of town. And that's reasonable. And it's still inflated. It's still inflated. So, yeah, that's frustrating. So anyway, going back, make sure you're picking your battles. Because I could tell you this. Having gone to Origins, having gone to Rocktober, having gone to a bunch of different tournaments, if you're looking for the most amount of fun for the least amount of money, Rocktober. Just say screw it, Rocktober. Okay? And there's means and ways for you to do well in Rocktober, and if you really don't want to play for the big money, there are other things you can play for. Like, really. Like, Howard, that's one thing I will give Howard props on. Definitely after this last year. If you are not there for money and you are there for fun, then Rocktober is, you're able to have a better time than you could at with WizKids at Origins. And here's why. Day one, WizKids will open up to sell you stuff, but will not do any battle royales or anything cool like that, because whatever. Okay, now there's no restrictions from Origin saying that they can't do that, to my knowledge. It's just they don't want to do that on day one. Okay, and they would make money. They would have gotten my money on day one. Okay, then on day two, you are now picking between doing battle royales or qualifying for the world championships. And you're dealing with that whole, pile of crap, which is 3 rounds qualifications, which previous years it was 5 rounds. But, that's what they're down for, because for some reason, previously they could tabulate 5 rounds in the same given time that they did 3 rounds, but it takes the same amount of time. Okay. Then, let's just say you have to go through 2 days of grinders for, both teams and singles. And let's just say you make it to the big dance in both. Congratulations to you. You don't have a life that entire day. You're going to be completely exhausted from the morning to the evening, because that's how long you're going to be playing. And if you are not conditioned for that, you're going to be letting yourself down or letting your teammates down for one of the 2 events. Just keeping it 100 for everybody. Okay, so that's WizKids. WizKids does not know how to balance out their schedule at Origins. And they do have some fun side events that are cool that you can, go to and play. And I don't mind those. And they have their place. But realistically, if you're going to play heroclix to like have fun or just joke around, Origins really isn't the place, because you're going to drop way more money at Origins, and the con LEs that you're getting at Origins as well. I really hate to say it, because of WizKids Opens, the values of them plummet, exponentially plummet. So, for example, this last go around of WizKids Opens, you just saw like Hawkman go to crap. Like, you can get him for under $20. KC Red Robin's high, still Ace the Bat Hound's high, and so is Man Spider. Those are still relatively high, for their overall cost, but everything else is sort of crap. Like, God bless you if you were struggling up until this point to get a Cosmic Daredevil, because he's super cheap. He's dirt cheap, okay? And if you have a Daredevil ID card, there you go. Just put 2 and 2 together. Just tell them Dark Logo sent you. All right. So when you look at it, there's little to no reason to go to Origins unless your main focus is, I want to build a figure, and I want WizKids to make the figure that I have in my head, to make that one character that I always wanted, and then that's what's going to go down, WizKids. You're going to bend to my will to do that. And I'm going to tell you a dark secret. It's not that type of party anymore. It's not that type of party anymore. There's a lot more limitations on what you can build. Okay? So, because of that, do you really want to spend all that time and effort to get that prize? Now, I know some people might say, but Dark Logos is just trying to discourage people so that Phoenix Nest can come in there and have an easier time at Worlds. Yeah, because what I said won't discourage anybody that's serious or that's really a good player or a threat. Okay? But I'm just being realistic, for the average listener that doesn't get to go to these events. Like, if you got to play and plan out a Clix vacation, I would tell you Rocktober is your best Clix vacation, not Origins. And that's sad. It's really sad. But it mainly just shows that WizKids does not know how to plan an event. And that's on them. And they could have done what Rocktober is doing at any point in time. At any point in time. And they decided not to, because they wanted to be like the rest of the industry. Well, let me rephrase that. A lot of the industry, and have their world championships at Origins or Gen Con. And I understand that. It's high publicity and all the other stuff. The problem comes in my opinion, they fail to capitalize on that publicity. Like, if you see people walking around, no one's like, where's the championship of heroclix? No, man, everybody's looking for championships of Pokemon versus Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And then what's that? Something Will, Force of Will. People are more interested in Force of Will than heroclix. So I'm just saying, like, having the World Championship at Origins doesn't do anything from a publicity standpoint. All it does is just says we do what the rest of the industry does. At a big con, we have a World Championship. Ta-da. Okay, that's really it. Okay, and I don't think anybody will tell WizKids, like, look, you're wasting your time and money being here, and yes, you're going to get some awards, quote unquote, but from a player perspective, you're not really doing much for them than being there. You could easily go find a space to rent outside of the con season, and it would be a lot cheaper on those people that are fans of your game, and they would show up. Because Origin is a worse party than Gen Con. Like, I'm just being honest again. Origin is a worse party than Gen Con. If you're there to play heroclix, it is a better party than Gen Con, because you can focus on heroclix. So if I could just go to an event where I can focus on heroclix, away from the con, so I wouldn't have to pay for this overpriced ticket to come and have a chance to win a world championship. And then I could pay that directly to WizKids instead for an entry fee. It would be more profitable. But I'm just some dude on the internet. What do I know about money and how to be profitable and how to get people to play your game? I'm just some guy on the internet. Okay, so coming back, like I said, make sure you know which events you're going to, as I ramble and derail myself. All right, next things, things like I'm on number 3 or 4. Start trading away your older stuff that you're not playing. Hit that eBay hard. I got rid of my Necron. It was sitting there staring at me in the face for over 4 months. 4 to 5 months, really, just doing nothing. And I was like, I'm going to sell it. And then I didn't sell it. And I was like, I'll play with it. And then I didn't play with it. And I was like, I'm going to sell it. And I was like, I don't know. And then, of course, push came to shove. I'm like, well, it's Black Friday. People are on eBay. I'll sell it. And so then I sold it. And did I make a ton of money off of it? No, because I was just trying to offload it. But in the end, there's other things that I know that I have that I just need to offload and get rid of because I'm not going to play it anymore. I'm looking at a power plant. And for every golden age that I've had recently, I've either played the Quinjet, a power battery, or something else that was not the power plant because the power plant just didn't help my team. I'm looking at entities and, oh man, it's like looking at old friends. It's like, I remember you, Parallax, how many games you helped me with. You too, Ion. And, Predator, we never really got that time to hang out together, and I'm really sad about that. I'm just looking, I was like, Black Hand, when I finally got you, I felt really good. Proselyte, how many shenanigans did we do with whatchamacallit? Super Scroll. And then, of course, Adara, before they nerfed you, you and Despotellis were the best of friends. So there's tons of things. There's tons of things that I'm just looking like, man, I got stuff just sitting here. I got 3 Quicksilvers. How the heck did I get 3 Quicksilvers? I don't even know. So go through your stuff and just be like, yo, I'm not playing that. I got to put that on eBay. I got to make a trade. I gotta make some moves, Now, I won't front. There are some things that I have that I would just keep from an artistic perspective, like my Namor, Splash Namor. That's just good. Brother Voodoo, too many victories. Like, he doesn't get to go to Valhalla. He has to stay here. He has to stay here on this plane to constantly overlook me as I play other games and other things that I do on the computer, like this podcast. So, I like that. I mean, but find stuff you got to purge. There are some things that I will admit that I come back to that are older, when given the chance, like my Avengers Prime. I'll come back to that and play that now and again, which, in all honesty, is one of the most dumbest figures that ever existed in heroclix. It really is. It is the pre-team base. It does so many dumb things. And speaking of team bases, I have team bases that, like, once in a blue moon, if somebody pisses me off or I just want to make a point, I'll break out. More if I want to make a point. I think that's more of a thing. I just want to make a point. And so there's some things that, you really got to just take inventory of your stuff. And I know that collecting factor of when you just look at the tons of toys and you're like, yay, I have this stuff. And then, that adage, the one who dies with the most toys wins. That's really not true. It's the person that inherits the toys that wins. The person that dies is dead. person that inherits the stuff didn't work for it, whether it's heirs or the state. That person wins. So anyway, needless to say, there is, take account of what you need to sell or trade or whatever. I got cop cars here. Never going to play those suckers again. So, okay, moving on to help you have a more productive year. Start really taking note of your weaknesses in play. If you have, and I would start from the beginning, and I mean that honestly. Like, are you still having problems in placement? Are you still having problems and where your team is being designed? How the process of which you're designing your teams? Are you having problems? In analyzing your teams to figure out what's good and what's bad? Are you having problems analyzing what your opponent's about to do? Are you having problems, analyzing, the different powers that are more commonly used in the game, like prob or pulse wave or stuff like that? Wherever your starting point is, take a serious note of that starting point. Don't just gloss over it like, man, I have this placement problem. I'll always have this placement problem because, I'm just not good at placement. Dark Logos says that I can get better, but, I've been playing this game for 6 years and I just seem to get, put my guy, one square too far out, and he just gets nuked, and I don't see it. I just don't see it and see how or why or blah, 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 blah. Go listen to some of my older shows. I try, and I really mean this. I try to give you a clue about the topic matter of the episode when in my title. Okay, so I know because back in the day I used to just be numbers. Okay, and it used to be like, hey, check this out. There's this number here. The episode, 35. That's the episode in which I talked about this. Every episode in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've tried to put a clue in there like, hey, watch this episode. It's about this, that, and the other. So let's just see, like my channel, blah, 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 videos. Okay, there we go. So let's just scroll back. Let's just go back a couple of months. I do laugh that I have a Pokemon Go guide up on my channel. I did like it when it came out. I haven't been playing it as much lately. So skim. Okay, here we go. Episode 161, Superman on Krypton. So that one is about, being a good player in a tougher situation. That one is a really good one. It's a lesson I learned from dancing. Then let's see. Also, I think it was also inspired from I'm Going to Take You to a Salsa Bar, which maybe that's not the best example of me going back. Let's just keep going forward. Here we go. Minor metaphoric forecasting. There, episode 159. Okay, and then 158. I talk about off season, about preparing for off season. Because I think it's a year ago. So what you can do in your off season. So you can go listen to episode 158, y'all. Y'all, and you can get something good that's relevant to what's going on right now. Let's see. Got a Superman Wonder Woman review. Let's try to go back a little further. I haven't done a topography in a while. But Davy Crockett was a good. It's out of date now, but it was good for the time. And Okay, let's see. Learn the way of the teacher. That's a good episode. I think I remember that episode. It's teaching others so that you can yourself can get better. But yeah, like you can go back and you can see different stuff through the years that will grab your attention and be like, oh hey, this might be actually pretty good and useful, and you'll see other players comment and stuff like that. I got faces on my thumbnails of such individuals as Kenny Pena, myself, more of myself, and then me streaming Warframe. So yeah, so there's tons of stuff there. So anyway, figure out what you're going to improve on, and then what I want you to do is start figuring out like a methodology of improving. Don't just be like, well, I've identified my problem. Now that's the end of it, because Dark Logos just said I need to identify my problem, and now I know my problem and I'm aware of my problem. But you got to do something about your problem. Like if you have an alcoholic problem, then maybe you need to start making a plan to stay away from the bar. But that's the beginning of the plan. You got to make other decisions. Like you might want to exercise more. You might want to find other ways of dealing with your stress. You might want to have, read the book Crucial Conversations so you don't have arguments with your spouse as much, so it doesn't drive you to drink. That's a plan. Doesn't mean you're always going to be 100% successful, but that's a plan. So anyway, you got to make a plan, and there's some things out there that can help you. There's this, I don't think they're new, but they're new to me. They're like T3 Productions, and they're on YouTube, and they do heroclix stuff. And they do matchups, sort of like what Patrick was doing, but stopped doing, unfortunately. And you can also look at Patrick's Apex Predator website on YouTube and stuff, and look at that, and look at why they place. Like pause and do like one of those little chess games. Like, okay, so why did Patrick place the Quinjet there and not there? So let's count some squares. Well, he's this far away from there, and we see the other guy has overdrive, and overdrive can move this amount of space plus sidestep, and there's no penalties because he's a vehicle, and then he can carry so-and-so, and then so-and-so can perplex up their range to do blankety-blank, and then the aura effect goes in. So if Patrick was one square closer, he would get hit by the aura effect, which would cause this lockdown explosion Armageddon. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. You can easily hear all that coming out of my mouth, but can you see that? And I can say, like, as a commentator for over 3 years now, not a podcaster, just a commentator. I've been a podcaster for longer. Being able to see stuff like that takes time, but once you start developing your skill set to see that, then you're like, oh yeah, it's just like this is what's going on. Blah blah blah. I mean, it's one of the reasons, like, bring up Kenny Pena again. He's a great commentator to listen to. He understands a lot about being a player, but he's also able to articulate that in a very fresh and entertaining way. Also, he enunciates. In spite of being from the East Coast, he does not have a heavy accent. So there you go. So, like I said, identify your problems to move on. Next up is find a heroclix buddy. If you don't have a heroclix buddy. Now, I prefer that your heroclix buddy, you both are on the same page. You want to be better players, and preferably you don't think meta is a dirty word. Okay? And that's a hard, and I really want to say it, sometimes it's a hard thing to find. But the main reason I want you to find your heroclix buddy is that you need someone that's going to help encourage you. It's just like that guy that is your spot at the gym, and he's like, come on, 5 more pounds, come on. And you go, ah! He's like, you can do it, push, ting. And he was like, yeah. And then you do the high five thing, and then the 5 low slap thing, you know. And he's like, come on, you can do this. Like, all right, let's, one more time, 5 more pounds, cling, cling. He's like, come on. And that's what a good HeroClix buddy is. Like, I'll say this, you know, with my Phoenix Nest crew, the one thing that I have now, more so than before when I was just mentoring, is I have a group of guys that I can just listen to or read in text chat and then just sit back and then like, and just have moments. I'm like, okay, cool. I like that. I didn't think about that. And then I can sit back and then take it in, get refreshed so that I'm not like just constantly this river of information that I have to constantly be giving, that I myself can also receive. Okay. And that's something that a lot of us as men, primarily listeners, I understand there's some female listeners. Okay. And I'm not trying to belittle you female listeners out there. Okay. But it's a thing for men in particular. We are taught just to give, and we're supposed to give everything that we have because we're men. And we're supposed to be, you know, stringent about that and never ask for anything ever because we're men. And that's what men do. But having somebody that actually, you know, contributes back to you for your own well-being and wants to see you, you know, be better and grow, I find that as a positive. I don't mind healthy competition between friends. Heck, you know, even when I play test, you know, the other day I was play testing with my teammate Wes, and I lost that first game, and I was like, you know what? I'm here to help him, but this next game, I'm going to beat him so bad. You know, I'm still thinking like, all right, we need to win, you know, test some stuff out, but I'm like, I'm going to beat him so bad. But it's not like any animosity against Wes. You know, it's just the competitive stuff that comes out. But he at the same time will come back and look at my builds and be like, yo, dog, you need to improve this. So there's different elements of having friends and comrades that's able to sort of feed you and then you feed them. It's like that one story, and you have the people that are chained to the post, and there's a big pot of soup in front of them, and the spoons are too long for them to feed themselves. They can't get food in their mouths. And there's 2 groups of people, and there's 2 pots. Okay? And pot number 1, everyone's miserable because they're trying to feed themselves with the spoon. And the food is landing on the floor, on their feet, in their hair, burning their scalp, and all other stuff because it's hot soup. You know? But the other group, everyone's happy because they're taking the spoons and feeding each other. And yes, I butchered that story, but you get the point. Okay? If you have a situation where that knowledge pool that's out there, you're feeding each other. And in the process of feeding each other, you're making everybody's lives richer. You're able to get substance to keep going. And it doesn't stop you from contributing. It really doesn't. You can still be a productive individual, but at the same time, you need to take that moment to come back and be like, you know what? I'm going to receive some words from somebody else because what they're saying is valid. All right. I'll wrap it up. You know, I got to get back into the swing of things. You just can't drop a hour show like that, like a mixtape, you know. Last but not least, the main thing I'm going to tell you, just going into this next year, is stay up on that HeroClix notebook. And here's why. Like, I've been preaching HeroClix notebook for years. Okay? Years. And I started slacking on mine. I started slacking. I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I would come up with ideas and I stopped putting them inside of the my notebook, or I didn't save it before I closed down my computer. So what ended up happening is I was like, I had this build, blah, 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 blah. I remember talking about it, double blankety blank with this figure. What was that? I was like, okay, let me check my HeroClix notebook. Open up my HeroClix notebook, and it's like, last entry, Rocktober. And I just sort of took myself back. I just took myself back. And I had to say to myself, wow, I lost all of my WKO information that I thought I saved. I lost all of my analysis from superior foes, and part of my analysis that I had written down from Joker's Wild. And I was like, and for a moment, I felt like similar to being robbed. And there were tons of like little secrets, tons of things that I had worked on with my teammates that just made me come back and say, how much better off would I have been if I had that information right now? Because I could have easily looked at a team and said, you know what, that wasn't going anywhere, versus wondering, did I lose gold, diamond, platinum? You know, did I have something that could have developed and turned one of my guys into a world champion, or myself into a world champion? You know, could I have won, you know, $3,000 or whatever at Rocktober the following year if I had that information, because of the growth that would came out of that team and the experiences it would have brought? So write stuff down. You know, I'm never going to badmouth oral tradition, because oral tradition does have its place. But our brains have adapted to not maintain that much amount that amount of memory. Like our brains now are really more from conditioned to operate in a index society, where if we know where to get information, we don't need to retain that information. We just need to know where the contents of what we need is. Okay, so anyway, so keep your heroclix notebook, you know, popping fresh. You know, dust it off. You know, brush the dust off the shoulders of the heroclix notebook. You know, get it back out on the dance floor. You know, have it break out those moves from, you know, 1995. And scare some people, you know. But and I know some of you might be saying, like, but Dark Logos, you know, most of the stuff in my heroclix notebook is crap. I'm like, yeah, there's some stuff in my heroclix notebook is crap too. Like, if you ever listen to some older podcasts where I like, here, look, like, first entry in the notebook is some team that's okay. Like, I have, how many years ago this is, Zatanna, 72 points, Starro Green Lantern, 90 points, Ray Palmer LE, 58 points, Brilliant Tactician, with Ice Maiden at 33 points, Wonder Woman from Icons, 127 points, Legacy E Batman, 94 points, Forbish Man, 4 points. It's like a 500-point game of some sort. I don't even, like, that has to be, like, during the Justice League set. Or sometime after, because the next entry is Smoky Foot Cap. So it had to be sometime after that. But if you look at the entry, you know, like, the best sort of time capsule to see, like, man, the game has changed, and man, my mindset has changed. Like, I look at little things that I had to write down, because I'm like, you know, 11 attack and 5 damage, you know, that's just the great. That's just wonderful. Now I'm like, man, 11 attack ain't nothing. 5 damage, that ain't nothing. I can do 8 damage if I wanted to. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's just you sort of sit back and you're like, man, this is where the game went. This is where I was. This is what I was focused on. Wow, how much of a different player I've been. This has been my natural curve. Oh, wow, this is when I started hanging out with blankety blank. Oh, man, I see this change in my game. Oh, man, this is when I started hanging out with Jim. Oh, man, okay, so Jim was into this, and then he started getting me into this sort of things, and then, man, now I start seeing my game sort of morph into something else. You know. So, I tell you, like I said, like, stay on top of the heroclix notebook. It's going to be good for your soul in the long run. All right. That's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank y'all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, 2017, we gonna be burning ashes up in this place. Ashes, ashes, ashes. They all fall down. And you can see my random musings, in particular when I'm, trying to get my songs played at the club, because I got to hit the DJ up through the Twitter. So if you saw that from New Year's and you're wondering what the heck was going on, there you go. Yeah. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Thanks to everybody that did sign up for the Phoenix Nest team on the win. It is full. Unfortunately, it caps at 10 players. So, yeah, I didn't know that. So, thanks to everybody who got in at that last minute. Now go out there and win. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to take over Pusheen. That's our goal. We're going to beat Pusheen this year. So I'll be honest with you. The moment that we beat Pusheen, just screenshot it to me. Just screenshot it. And then it'll be up on the show. If you see it. And if anybody sees it, just like, it's going to be up on the show. And then now, like, all the other guilds are like, no, we can't let Phoenix Nest win like this. Anyway. Yeah, I need to get back to it. Yeah, if you want to buy a shirt, the link below in the description, you can get a Phoenix Nest shirt. We're working on a new design, so we might actually have one up for the shirts not long from now. Maybe in a couple of months. And that's really about it. Oh, yeah, also you get a Starting Over Podcast shirt. And also, if you want to donate to the show, you can go to the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. It is a ghost of a website, mainly because, WizKids sort of killed my drive to blog. If you want a story about how that happened, go back a couple of years, right when Spiral came out. Actually, I think if you look at stuff that wasn't a set review, you could see why I just got discouraged from blogging. And there were some good people I was talking to on the blog. But yeah. All right. That's it. Again, I know it's been a long time since the show. I apologize, but the holidays and nephew time and sleeps and dates and being up until 3 a.m, because I don't have to go to work in the morning. That just happens. And then work. So, thank you for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.